Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new elite family of woods and irons from Callaway.
Pebble Beach Pro-Am begins Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Golf Channel. The first two rounds will be split between Pebble Beach and Spyglass Hill. Monterey Peninsula Country Club no longer, by the way, a part of that event. But the purse of $20 million on the line, and the winner will earn 700 FedEx Cup points for the second signature event of the year. Well, let's just give you a little reminder of how these signature events work. There are 8 in total. They feature limited fields with an increased prize money and FedEx Cup points. 5 of them, including Pebble this week, are no-cut events. You have the top 50 players from last year's FedEx Cup standings qualifying for all 8 events. Then players 51 through 60 in the FedEx Cup full standings are in the field for Pebble and the Genesis Invitational. Pebble, by the way, also actually going slightly deeper on that list to fill the field. Then you've got the Aon Swing 5 that gives entry to players who accumulate the most FedEx Cup points between each signature event, and there are spots given to current season winners and sponsor exemptions. So here are the 8 events. You've got Hideki Matsuyama, who picked up the Century earlier this month following Pebble. You've got the Genesis Invitational and the Arnold Palmer Invitational before the tour heads to the Players and the Masters. Following the Masters, there are 4 more events. You've got the RBC Heritage, Truist Championship, the Memorial and the Travelers Championship. So that is our homework. Let's get to the big story, shall we, this week at Pebble Beach. It is the big return of Scottie Scheffler, and Tilu, you have been on hand, and I know you got a chance to watch and catch up with the world #1 today, I believe.
Yeah, he's in great spirits and excited to kick off his 2025 PGA Tour season here at Pebble Beach. He actually arrived on Pebble Sunday evening. On Monday, played Cypress Point, one of the prestigious golf courses on the peninsula here, and then today he went to work getting ready for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am by playing an 18-hole practice round alongside his good friend Sam Burns. I watched Scottie warm up this morning, and I caught up with him, and he said that he is ready to go. Of course, he had that Christmas Day incident, that wound on his right hand that had to have glass removed from his hand, and he was very cautious in coming back, making sure that he was fully healed. He didn't want to come back too soon, but he just started hitting full shots last week. Got enough practice under his belt, and he feels like he is prepared to come out to the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am and try to win this signature event. Now, you may wonder, how is Scottie playing? Well, I mentioned on Monday that he played Cypress. The first 6 holes, he was 6 under. So Scottie Scheffler is hitting the ball, at least from my perspective, like Scottie Scheffler of 2024, and he should be a force here this week.
It feels like there is no real reason for concern. I think, yeah, you're absolutely right there, Todd. Now, one of the top players who isn't in the field this week, that's Xander Schauffele. Have you got any updates and what you've learned about his health?
Yeah, as we reported a couple of weeks ago, Xander Schauffele has been bothered by a right rib injury. It's nothing from a bone perspective or a skeletal perspective. It's soft tissue, the intercostal muscles there. It actually occurred late last year, but he decided to play through it at the Century, did not have his best, and that's why he shut it down, not only at the American Express, also at the Farmers Insurance Open, and he's not playing here this week. How did this happen? No real certainty from Xander and his camp. It could have been from the gym. It could have been from practice. It could have been a combination of both. But after some rest and rehabilitation, Xander Schauffele has been given the green light this week to hit full shots. So that is his plan, to kind of get his body ramped up once again for a PGA Tour competition. It's a slight possibility he could play next week at the WM Phoenix Open, but really right now he is targeting the next signature event on the PGA Tour schedule, which is the Genesis Invitational, which will now take place in his hometown of San Diego at Torrey Pines, a place he would love to have great success at. But it looks like Xander Schauffele is going to be back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Torrey, as we know, would be a great match for Xander. We wish him a speedy recovery indeed. Todd, thank you very much. Well, Mr. Lewis, he will be back a little bit later in the show. And how about Rory McIlroy? He's been racking up quite the frequent flyer miles over the last week or so, from the Middle East to Palm Beach and now over to the Monterey Peninsula. Todd, we'll talk with the world #3 ranked player. That is coming up. But Rory was also in the press center, and he talked about what made Scottie Scheffler just so strong.
I've never, this is anyone, this is Tiger, this is in the history of golf, I've never I don't think I've ever seen a golfer play as many bogey-free rounds as Scottie. He just doesn't make mistakes. It's so impressive. He plays the right shot at the right time over and over and over again. You obviously need the technical ability to be able to do that, but he doesn't make mistakes. And when you don't make mistakes in the golf course, the game can become pretty easy. So super impressive, and if he continues to do that, he's going to be the dominant force that he was last year and the year before that.
It's a game that is admired around the world. Tripp, this was Scottie Scheffler out on the course earlier today over at Pebble. That sentiment that Rory McIlroy just mentioned there, that's exactly what we heard from tournament host Tiger Woods at the Hero World Challenge just back in December. It was just the fact that he really doesn't do anything wrong. And when you have got that in your bag, how difficult does that make you to beat?
Well, and you combine that with his mental acumen as well. I mean, he just is so stoic. He doesn't get up. He doesn't get down. He's got a great bagman, Ted Scott, right there. They look like they're enjoying everything they do. They're very professional about it. But, yeah, I mean, you look at his stats. I mean, my gosh, these are Tiger-esque. First in strokes gained total, first in strokes gained tee to green, second in strokes gained off the tee, first in strokes gained approach. And then you look at his putting, you go, oh my gosh, he's 77th. Well, when you have those kind of numbers, ball striking wise, and you putt just average, you just need to gain a few strokes here and there, and that's all you need to do. But when you look at what his strategic elements that he puts into his aiming into greens, and part of what they're saying how bogey-free, how many times he plays bogey-free. It's a page out of Jack Nicklaus's book. It's a page out of Tiger Woods' book. It's if that hole that he's putting to down there on the front, do you see why he's putting to it from there? Because he's going to aim past the flag up there, and he's going to take that bunker down there to the right completely out of play unless he mishits it. Now, he very rarely mishits shots, but when he does, it may end up in that bunker. But the odds are against it with his ball striking acumen and his ability to hit the ball solid. He's going to try to play from right there to that front right hole location. You watch, and if you see him on the fourth hole here, that's what the hole they're playing looks like to me. And when you see that, I guarantee you his ball will not be far from where he was just putting. And he goes about that if the hole's in the back of the green. A good shot for him is going to be below the hole, 10 to 15 feet on the safe side of the hole if it's over on the right. And I think that is all a cascading effect of putting the odds in your favor over the course of a round, over the course of a tournament, over the course of a season. And it's why he has a number one next to his name so many places across the board. Most importantly, number one in the world. And I do not see it changing just because of his team around him and his grounded ability away from the golf course. It doesn't. Golf doesn't drive him so much away from the golf course. He's a good family man. I just see this continuing for a long, long time. It's going to be tough to beat Scottie Scheffler. And the other thing as a player is when you're standing on that first tee and he's got a lead or he's right there with you, he's not going to beat himself. And that has a psychological effect on his opponents as well. And by the way, there were a couple other players that had that effect. Tiger Woods and the blonde fellow with 18 majors.